other one's high. It's the family bloodline.
Okay, watch this. and he laughed, and we had a bunch of people in there that night. It was crazy. He had this reggaeton artist that was in there. We set both mics up, and
snap, bro. You're basically tsunamiing people that are like investing millions of dollars in mics and propaganda, and you walk in there like, yo, look, check out this baby out.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
putting it to the test and like balling it out like AI back in his days.
Dude, it was so crazy. He was like, so we cut the vocals on both mics, and he was like, nah, take all the plugins off of your mic, man. That's cheating. I said, actually, the only plugins that are on any mic are the vocal chain that you have on this U87. That's raw. And he goes, nah, Keith, hold on a second. And he's like, well, take all the plugins off the U87. I want to see. Take all the plugins off the U87. He goes, damn, Walt, you just made my microphone sound like a goddamn podcaster microphone.
Hey, wait a minute, goddamn it!
He's like, this should sound like a goddamn Android microphone now. He's like, nah, hold on, Keith. Yo, he was blown. Everyone in the room was just like, they couldn't believe it. And Cool was like, yo, I need one immediately. He's like, when can you get one to me? And I said, I got you. I'll come through. When you let me know what your schedule's like, and I'll come through. Don't worry. And so like the next day he hit me. He's like, Keith, I can't get this mic out of my head. He's like, I can't. He's like, I'm listening to these vocals, and he's like, and I'm pissed off that I didn't have this microphone to cut the rest of the song that we had, because I would have cut every vocal over. And I said, I got you. And so I went by. Then literally that night or the next day, it was either the next day. It was either the very next day or the day after that, from when I was at his spot. And I walked in with the microphone, and he was like beyond excited. I mean, he was the most excited customer. Oh my God. Like, I walked in, he takes the boxes out of my hand with a smile, puts them down on the console, and starts shooting a damn promo ad for me immediately. I mean, I didn't script it. It's the one that's on the Circle Audio Instagram, actually.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't script that. I didn't know he was gonna do it. Like, he didn't even ask me the name of the mic before. He's like, we got this. And you hear someone in the background like, yes, sir. And you know, because he didn't even know the name of the mic. He just knew that he loved it that much. And he's like, got this Circle Audio mic. He's like, because we can't keep recording with these type of sonics.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy.
And I mean, like, that was so unscripted, bro. Like, I was just in shock.
It's a moment. It was like a moment. It really a moment.
It really
I saw that on the IG, and I was just like, dang, what are we doing over here? This is it. You know, this is one of those things that now we got it in the repertoire. But go ahead, Manny. Yo, Manny, what's going on, Manny? Is he there?
We can't hear you, bro.
You know what? This is crazy because usually.
You got a major case of connectile dysfunction.
And it's crazy because we've been on for like an hour and some change, just chopping it up.
Yeah.
But, and he was good. It was good, but can't hear you right now.
You might want to change your mic input on the settings. It just looks like you're cursing us out right now.
Right. Right. So while Manny's fixing that, I don't want to move too far ahead because we heard
y'all
you.
Hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Lord,
yes.
Mercy.
Yeah.
Man, you lucky you didn't hear.
Bro.
Wait, now we got nothing again. Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm back. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
no,
had
he's back.
technical difficulties here in the computer. My computer died. But anyways, I don't want to be just a pretty face. What? Well, first of all, bro, congratulations. I'm definitely so uh surprised. I'm excited. I mean, I was expecting it anyways, but after seeing everything that has your company Circle Audio has come through, I'm beyond proud, bro. And I'll tell you this personally, I'm super proud of you and all the work that you put into this, along with Langston and the whole crew and stuff. Bro, amazing work. I was privileged to actually um have a session with the microphone not too long ago, and I laid down some tracks for an upcoming EP that I got, and it sounded amazing, just to say the least. Sonically, it's tremendous. Something that I have never experienced for myself at first hand. I have a couple mics, but this definitely did exactly more than what you have been explaining here. So
I love it. I
we
love it.
just got a package today here from UPS, which will be soon showcase at the YouTube stuff. And, stay tuned for more surprises. But bro, tell me about this internal we had a conversation previously, and it was like, you're mentioning that the Cool had this reaction, like, putting plugins off the whole track and tracking and doing a comparison, right? One frequency that, at least in my voice, is really noticeable was that of the 1500s, the usual uh frequencies that kind of kill a lot of people in their vocals, right? Not only me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you to get into the actual details of, but it almost felt like it had an internal compressor.
It does. Kind of.
Suppressing these.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it has an internal, well, I'm not trying to do like another, but it's a soothing tune of compressing those frequencies, but in a clear way.
Yeah. So basically,
Mind blowing.
a large part of that is the transformer technology. These are totally proprietary transformers. There's no other company in the world that has them, because Langston actually invented these for these mics. And they are extremely unique, and in the sense that they have the highest inductance of any transformers ever put into a microphone, ever, by far. I mean, by like 10 times. And where that affects things is it's in the clarity in the top end. It's much, much smoother. And in the bottom end, everything is just, you can't find any mud. It doesn't exist because everything is super, super phase coherent, also, like top to bottom. And so you don't get any mud, but you also don't get like ugly rumble at the bottom of the mic either. You can choose to roll off from the bottom, but if you left it in, you're never going to get an ugly buildup that's going to make your track sound bad. It's just literally fitting things in. But the other thing is, the reason why these transformers are so special is because they're not one metal, they're actually two. And we buy it separately because it's got to be the highest grade you can possibly get. The highest grade steel and the highest grade nickel that you can get, with the most purity available on the market in the world. And so we buy the elements separately and then have the transformers made. And these transformers, there's 3 laminations that are steel, and then there's 1 lamination that's nickel. And the winding, instead of being wound like a regular transformer, these windings are actually braided with 2 different elements, with both nickel and steel. What that does is that obviously also, it gives you amazing filtration sonically, but it also increases the capacitance. And what capacitance is essentially, um, creates more resistance. So you lose bottom end. So what did we do? We went back and, well, Langston did, and we biased the circuit to compensate for that, to give more bottom end to those transformers so that everything sounds super linear. What we found when we did that was that it actually works almost like a multi-band compressor in a way, because it keeps everything super neutral. And think of every frequency as something that has its own little threshold point. So if you have something that's going to get ugly and resonant, it hits that threshold and it clamps down on it. So it never gets boxy. It never gets harsh. It never gets ringy or ugly. It always keeps it in the pocket. And that's why everything sounds super linear with it. So it's just like when you stack vocals, you don't get ugly buildups. It just, all the vocals just work so well together. And when you have a lead vocal that you want to push up in the mix, you don't have to worry about pushing it up and then having to figure out how to de-harsh it or de-box it. You can do whatever you want EQ wise to taste, but you're never going to have to fix problems. And
out the box,
exactly.
basically.
And that was the goal with these mics sonically, is that I didn't want anyone to fix problems. I want the best engineers to have mics that blow them away, and I want the worst engineers to think it's actually that easy when they use it.
Yeah.
The problem has just become fixed.
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
that.
So I mean, it's gonna save people so much time, and it's gonna make people feel like, holy shit, I'm the shit, off the gate with this. It's like
time is everything, right? And
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
in when it comes down to producing, engineering, and so on and so forth. And yes, definitely this microphone has made that, and I'm sure it's capable of way more, it's come around and whatnot, because y'all need to remember, music production, it is science. At least so that's what that thing on my wall says.
It's
But
seriously.
so tell me a little bit more technical, because I want to, for my gear gurus here, the noise floor on this mic. How do you, because this is an uncomparable noise floor out of any microphone.
Oh yeah, you actually got to hear it. Yeah.
So
probably I gotta
tell us about the noise floor.
Okay,
how did you, because to me it's ridiculous how you guys managed to do that. I don't know, but it was impressive.
So actually it's funny, when you were having your technical difficulties, that's what we were talking about. But basically the noise floor comes, or the lack of noise floor comes from basically not doing a linear or tube based power supply, because transformers create noise and tubes create noise in that signal path, especially when you're using it to power your microphone. So taking the transformers out of the chassis altogether on the power supply, it gave us a way lower noise floor. And yes, historically they do add a certain sonic character to the circuit, but once again, we just rebiased the circuit to compensate for whatever it was that we were losing by not having those. So all the magic happens in here rather than in the power supply. And so it also makes it a lot easier for these not to have to be matched up to a specific power supply, because the power supply no longer shapes the sonic character of the mic, and it does what it's supposed to do, which is just power the mic. And all that sonic character happens in here and nowhere else. And so that's the beautiful thing about it. And because there's no noise floor, I mean, the mics are so quiet that if you didn't say something into them, you might think they were off.
Yes,
and that's
that I experienced that. And it was kind of mind-blowing to me, because I was just kind of sort of talking right next to it, and I had my headphones on when we was tracking, and I was like, wait a second, did you turn off the microphone? Because
Yep.
I can't hear anything. I can hear, the capture and concentration of the capturing of sound is just, I mean, I know the capsule has a lot to do with that too.
Yeah, well, we have amazing CA12 capsules in here. Everything is like extremely high quality, super tested. Like everything goes through like 3 layers of quality control before it actually makes its way into the mic. And even after that, there's a final QC done on every microphone. So like they're really, everything is just really super high end. And then the other thing also is that the way that we did our capsules, they have a slightly narrower cardioid pattern. And so there's a very specific reason for that. And that cardioid pattern being narrower is because not everyone has the greatest environment to record in. And so especially if you're using a front address mic, this is where you're going to be anyway. But by narrowing that cardioid pattern, the pickup pattern, all the stuff around you tends to get canceled out a lot more. It has much better rejection. If you want to pick that stuff up, you have figure 8 and you have Omni on the power supply to change the pattern. But if you want to cut vocals that are right in front of the mic, you don't need everything all the way around here. You don't need this type of pickup pattern. We got this. So if you have a space that's less than treated, there's no guarantee it's going to be perfect with any mic, especially mics that, pick up all the detail that, such as what this does, but it's going to be a lot better and more efficient than other mics because of the fact that it cancels all that stuff out. And so you pair that with that super low noise floor that doesn't exist, and what you end up getting is in between phrases that you normally would have to edit in Pro Tools, because you want to cut that out because you don't want the
Complete
bleed
blank.
or whatever it is. You don't want that in your mix. Well, now you can choose to cut it out or not, but most of the time it's not even there. And so it's just dead silent. And that makes a huge difference.
So you have figured out how to neutralize the ceiling, right? Maintain a pretty much a perfect threshold to where it doesn't hit the ceiling. It compresses it. You've kind of like, for the bottom, like you said, you've taken the mud out of it. So you've provided more clarity to the bottom of it, and you've totally silenced any residual output, essentially noise output that will come from the power supply. So it's
Correct.
more of a pure, a directly pure sound that you'll get, like we were saying, coming immediately out of the box. Immediately out of the box.
And not just that, but also it's got an extended top end as well. And we didn't do it with EQ. There is no EQ in this mic. And that's the beautiful thing about this transformer technology on the other side of the frequency spectrum, is that even in the original 251s, there is a 10K boost at the top. And the reason for that is because those transformers, they start to roll off really gradually, like in the 4K, 5K range. So it's not super dramatic, but by 20K, I believe it's 20K or 22K. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's like completely rolled off at that point. Our transformers allow us to have a much broader frequency spectrum. So our mics don't start to roll off. They don't even begin to roll off until 65K, which is far beyond human hearing. So we don't need a 10K boost because
I can't hear anything beyond 16. So
yeah, exactly. Well, most people can't. So, but that's the point, is that there's no need for an EQ because we don't lose anything that we have to compensate for, and that's why everything always sounds really natural and accurate rather than overhyped and processed.
Yo, so everybody needs to remember that this is not a clone. It is not a clone. It is
That's the future.
reinforced,
That's the freaking future, man.
version of what it was. I mean, clearly the name has it. You know, it's an Evo, and it's definitely the evolution of what it was, and in a good way, in the best of the good ways. So, but I would one thing is I'm always curious, and why did you guys pick the 251 over all the mics? Like, Cool was saying that U7 was that industry standard. Like other people would say is the C800, other people would say is the 47, you know, the C12. Why this?
Well, first of all, 251 it's always been my favorite mic. When we developed this, I had my holy grail vintage Elam 251. It was a $35,000 mic.
Jeez.
And
Wow.
it was my holy grail. I wanted it for the longest time. I got this mic. I was like, that's it. Like, this is, I mean, mine was from 1967. It was amazing. It was immaculate. It was the one. And I was just like, I don't care if I ever own another microphone ever again. This is it. And then shortly after we decided to, kind of move forward with this, Langston let me hear my prototype. And I sold my Elam in 4 days.
Wait. So wait, are people retiring their vintage mics that people are like, my vintage mic?
Absolutely. Actually, Power Station Studios made, and this was unsolicited, made a public statement that they will be, as Circle Audio unveils more mic models, they will be replacing all their vintage ones with the Circle Audio and retiring all their vintage ones because these are just they just like them better, and they can have duplicates and triplicates of the same mic. So, I mean, one thing about Power Station is that they only buy things in twos. So they got they get two mics at a time, two compressors at a time, two whatever. Everything that they do, they buy it in multiples of even numbers. So they so they when they heard this, I mean, it was a wrap. Like,
That's crazy because usually people that are in this sort of avenue, they don't change nothing for nothing when it comes to their go-tos. Like their go-to mics, their go-to trusted hardware. This
yeah.
is now move
especially when
over.
you're especially when you're talking about a studio like Power Station that has millions of dollars in gear there. I mean, they've got stuff that you'll never see in another studio. Like, they have the 9098 console that that Plugin Alliance modeled to do the plugin in there. Like,
Wow,
and
that's a
by the
badass
way,
plugin.
yeah, by the way, the plugin does not even come close to comparing to the console. But but um but yeah, I mean, that studio is incredible. They got the Motown EQs, but not like the remakes. I'm talking the original ones from Motown studio that
Holy
Stevie
cow.
Wonder gifted to them. Like, they've got,
Jeez.
Wow.
I mean, they've got, oh my God, like they've
Shout
got
out
one of, I think, like 35 ever stereo LA2As in
Keith,
there. They've got
It sounds
a
it
rack
sounds
full of,
like you're on fire, bro.
oh,
You
it's
are
insane.
on fire with this situation.
The
Because
stuff
it's
that you
like
see there is like insane.
the stuff that you're telling us, and I'm sorry for interrupting you because
No, it's
it's
all
like
good.
this is such a historic situation just from the avenue from how people are reacting, the market, your story, how you came about to sharing it with us, and now we get to be partakers into this new paradigm.
I love it.
And so I mean, in a way, I remember I asked you earlier, what does it mean, or how did you know when people are like, yo, throw whatever we just had in the studio and put it in the closet, put it in the closet, because we're just going to be using this from now on all angles, from instruments to vocals, because it sounds like you don't even have to use extra technology when you have the raw potential of something that's captured that was timeless. Like, You know, because
everything has its time. You know, I'm a firm believer that yes, people are kind of used to a sound, and they're kind of used to especially on the independent market, a lot of people wants to sound like this guy. I want to sound like this record, but they forget that the only way to evolve is creating a new sound.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way to actually start with that. If you want to excel in what sounds that you already got, you have to definitely explore new avenues instead of just, you know, nobody. I mean, I know there's still people that listen to, I don't know, probably freaking wax wax vinyl music,
course.
you know, from the freaking
Of course.
30s and stuff like that. But it's never gonna be the same because now we got Spotify, we got Apple Music. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So in terms of that, now that you gave us the backstory, I'm allowed to continue this conversation like that. But anyways,
Hmm.
what's in the near future right now?
Yes. What is next? That's where I was about to head. Also, you were talking about evolutions, 251s, and you mentioned a couple of times new things on the horizon, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm with Maddie on that because I'm excited. I'm over here tapping my foot.
So
I
we got a
gotta
couple.
no.
We got a couple exciting releases. One of which before the end of the year, I'm hoping sometime between October and November, we're gonna drop the Evo 47. And
yeah, that sounds
it's
fantastic.
it's crazy. Like when I tell you crazy, there is not a 47 on this earth that can handle this. Like they can stand next to this. I mean, I'm so blown away. I mean, I had the first prototype. I shot it out at Power Station actually with their vintage 47, and it was like it was like sit down vintage 47. It was crazy. And this new prototype where we actually have a whole new technology that Langston developed for these that allows us to more intricately tune the mic in terms of saturation at our choice of frequency points, which without having to be bound to just the values of the other components on the circuit. This is a game changer altogether, because it just allows us to get closer to that perfect tonality, and it's just so much more detailed and so much more rich sounding and so much more just this isn't even a word, but feel goody. It feels good. And,
It's a
and
word now.
it's
It
so
is
feel
now.
goody. And
Yeah. First,
yeah,
feel good is a new word. We
yeah,
with it.
man.
We
It's
love
just
Slap
got
that on the track.
right. It just has this magic to it that I can't wait to drop this. I mean, it's like
So can
I'm
people pre-order that stuff now, Keith, or how does that work? Or are people already like excited for the next day and be like, "Yo, let me get the backdoor in on that situation deal, so I could order that
so
ahead of time for my people."
so we're not doing pre-order